Hey, what's going on, everyone? Pastor Brett, thanks so much for joining us for another edition of Coffee and Cuts. I'm here with Cindy Bright, who is my stand-in co-host. Gina Hoff is on vacation. And we just got done with probably, I think, the most difficult inconvenient truth so far. I mean, this truth from Matthew 7:13 through 14, Jesus teaching about the narrow way. Literally, the inconvenient truth is, if we were going to summarize it, hey, don't be so quick to assume you're saved, because unless if you're walking on the path of Jesus, the path of Jesus may speak against your conviction. And so, at the end of the day, Cindy, I think this is one of those that, as a pastor, is like really near and dear to my heart. I believe our call on earth is to see the bride of Christ become vibrant. And, I've served in 4 different churches since I became a Christian. And I think every church I've served in, I don't know what your experience has been, but I've served in, churches certainly with lots of people. And there's been some amount of people that I've been around that say they're Christian. Yeah. They go to church and they read their Bible and they do all the right Christian things. And then you get them outside of church and how they talk, how they act, what they think, what they do. Literally their worldview is so unlike Jesus. Why do you think that is?
I think we have a culture in the church today that really speaks to religion versus relationship. And I feel like there's a lot of emphasis on churchisms of how to act and what to do and what to say, and that saves you and that makes you a part of the church culture. And really what we need to focus on is, what I need to focus on in my life is my relationship with Christ. And am I walking with him daily? Am I living my life in a way that he is alive and present and evident in my day-to-day?
So I like this. So we live in a culture that has all these boxes that check, and they say, okay, I'm a good Christian if I don't do this, if I don't do that, if I do this, if I do. And then people, kind of naturally put that over us, and we put that over people sometimes in different ways too. But what I heard you just say was, it's not so much about checking the box, it's about checking the box of a relationship with Jesus. And so relationships are living, breathing, moving parts, right? I mean, that's what a relationship is. It takes work, it takes attention, it takes trust. There's a lot of things that go into that. So at the end of the day, for someone who maybe grew up in a church, I mean, your story is a little different than mine in that you grew up in a Christian family, grew up going to church. That's awesome. That's such a blessing. How did you not get into that conformity where, because as I've gotten to know you, you're a Jesus or bust family today. I love it, and you're kingdom builders. And I love being around you guys because I know your heart is for the Lord. And, but yet you grew up in this sphere that would have been very easy for you to come out the other side, just this like little cookie cutter Christian family and to impute these things on others like some do. How did you avoid that?
I think in high school, I really felt the need to dig into Scripture and really see for myself who Jesus is and what it looks like to really follow after him and to be hot and not just lukewarm, and to follow him in obedience wherever he called us and whatever that looked like, and to lay down my expectations and my desires for my own life and follow after him and what he desired for my life, and in living in service to him.
Wow. So being obedient produced fruit and vice versa, right?
Yes.
Wow. So we talked about that on Sunday, how Jesus said the litmus test of the narrow road in those 3 examples he gave was really defined by 2 actions. One was, is there fruit of a relationship with Jesus as it was in the fruit of the Spirit, right? Love, joy, peace, kindness, down the way through Galatians. And are you obedient to Jesus Christ today? Does your heart rejoice for the things that his rejoices for? Are you doing what he's commanded? And does your heart break for the things that break the heart of God? That's how we know that we're a disciple. One of the things that I think I found as I've done ministry over the years is that depending on where somebody grew up, this passage will wreck them in a very different way. For the religiously lost, I think it wrecks them in the right way, where it's like, hey, check your footing. Just because you say you're a Christian doesn't mean you're rightly reconciled with Christ. Let's look at your life. Let's look at the fruit. Is there fruit? Is there obedience? If not, check your path. I think the other is that it wrecks people who are genuinely saved, but because maybe they came from a different theological tradition where they think their salvation could be lost, right? So I've sinned so much, or I've didn't do enough right things that now my salvation is lost. Now I wonder, am I really on the team? That's what this text does to them. Or it brings us to a place where we feel like maybe we're more sinful as followers, because Jesus is pointing out those broken areas of our life where before maybe we didn't care. How does that meet you today? You're on the team, you love the Lord, but how would you minister to somebody who maybe feels kind of self-conscious, where this hits them and says, "Oh boy, I'm saved, but am I saved enough?" Like, how would you minister to them in light of this message?
I really liked Sunday when you were talking about heart, head, hands. And I feel like that's a good place to start. Just start at the feet of Jesus and dig deep into the scripture and get to know him and be in relationship with him and allow him to transform your heart and to give you a new heart. And then that will lead to, the desire to gain head knowledge and to follow after him and to eventually use your hands in service in whatever way he calls you and know that he'll equip you to do that.
It's so good. It's tough stuff.
Yeah.
I think there's a world that deeply and desperately needs to hear this, that there's mercy and grace for anyone, regardless of what they've done, at the feet of Jesus, and yet there is truth and there is an account that has to be given, that when we say we're Christians, there has to be fruit. There has to be obedience to that life, that narrow road that Christ has called us to. These are deep things. We'll keep talking about them. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in to Coffee and Cuts. We hope that this was a meaningful addition to your week. Be sure to check us out on Sunday for another session of Inconvenient Truths. Thank you so much.